If you're brand new at your business and you haven't yet worked with somebody, you could still have true stories about actual people that have used those types of products. And this is called social proofing as well.
Most hosts never achieve the results they hoped for. They're falling short on listenership and monetization, meaning their message isn't being heard and their show ends up costing them money. This podcast was created to help you grow your listenership and make money while you're at it. Get ready to take notes. Here's your host, Adam Adams.
Hey, podcasters, it's your host, Adam Adams. In this episode, we are talking about 2 ways that you can build social proof, build credibility through social proofing. This episode, we're going to help you to be able to find a way to have others talking about you when you're not in the room in a good way, to be able to grow your podcast naturally and organically. So social proofing matters because human beings are like lemmings or sheep. And that's not to offend anybody who's listening. It's to understand that most of us, there's a few pioneers. It's less than 10% of us. We're pioneers. We want to be the first to do something. We want to take the action. We want to be different from everybody else. And then most of us, like 90% of us, we want to be able to know that something works. We want to be able to do the things that other people are focusing on or that other people believe in. So you got to understand that when you are marketing and growing your podcast, you got to understand that most of us do things that we believe in, that our friends do, that if all of our friends like a certain cocktail, we're more likely to like that cocktail. If all of our friends like a certain beer, we're more likely to like that beer. If most of our friends are into a certain type of exercising, we are more likely to be into that exercising. If most of our friends like to go hiking, if most of our friends start businesses, we're more likely to be a business owner. And now it's time to think about Amazon. I think a lot of people love Amazon, and I think a lot of people like Amazon for different reasons. So, for example, one of the reasons why we like Amazon is because we can buy something and we could just sit there in our underwear and buy it. Or maybe you do it completely in the nude. I don't know. Maybe you put on a suit and that's how you buy things on Amazon because that's how you want to do it. That's how you want to show up. I like it because, I don't have to put on makeup. I don't have to put on my blouse. I don't have to do my hair all up, and I can just go ahead and purchase it. Another reason that I like it, another reason that I love working on Amazon is because I can get great deals. And I can get great deals because of how many different sellers there are for different types of products that I might be interested in. So it's really convenient that I don't have to go to all of these stores. I don't have to get in my car and drive to one store after another, because all of them are right there. That's very convenient. It's a very good way to want to purchase things, is right there online. But a reason that I like purchasing on Amazon so much is the social proofing. And what we're talking about here is the ratings and reviews that others have given. And so, like many of you, I read some of the 5 stars, I read some of the 1 and 2 stars, and I spend a lot of attention on the 3 and 4 star ratings. So I do a lot of the 5s because I want to know what the people that absolutely love it say. I want to go directly to the 1s and 2s because I want to know what the people that hate it say. And then I go to the 3s and 4s, and I feel like I'm getting some really good feedback. So if I go and try to find a product and it's, for example, it's cheaper, we all want to save money. I want to save money. You probably want to save money. You don't want to spend frivolously or unnecessarily. So I enjoy being able to save a little bit of money. But if I go and one product has hundreds or thousands of really good ratings and reviews, let's say 4.5 stars, I'm probably going to trust that, even if it costs a little bit more than one that only has, let's say, 5 ratings and reviews, regardless if it's a perfect 5-star, a 4.5, just like the other one, or if it's a 1 or a 2-star. Based on the fact that only a small handful of people have said anything about it, I'm not ready to trust it. I'm not willing to be the pioneer in that case. I want to be the part of the 90% of the sheep and the lemmings that goes ahead and doesn't go against the grain and does what other people say works. I purchase the product that other people say works. And your podcast has social proofing as well. There's 2 ways to build credibility through social proofing. One of those ways is with ratings and reviews, but the other way is a little bit different, and I want to share it at the end. So the first way is with ratings and reviews, written reviews, where people listen to your podcast, at least an episode or two, and they give honest feedback, whether it's a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, whatever. They give honest feedback about what they liked, what they didn't like. And now it's up there for the next person to go ahead and check out. So if you only have a couple of ratings and reviews, you're less likely to have the social proofing that's going to have somebody trust your podcast. If you have a bunch of written reviews, then you're more likely to have that person who's in the 90% who does the things that other people already trust, because we don't want to be the first pioneer. We don't want to be the first person to try out this product and possibly fail and possibly lose our money. We'd rather know that we were getting a product that we believe in and other people that we know believe in. So we're going to listen to a podcast that has more social proofing. That's one way to do it. Now, the second way, because remember, there's two ways to build credibility through social proofing. The other way is actually through talking about people that you work with. And now, if you're brand new at your business and you haven't yet worked with somebody, you could still have true stories about actual people that have used those types of products. And this is called social proofing as well. I do it a lot on the podcast. I'm constantly mentioning a client who works with us, who wanted a certain result, who we just gave a couple of pieces of feedback, and they took that feedback and they went through the journey of ups and downs and ended up with a solid podcast. Either that they were monetizing their podcast, or they had a whole bunch of listeners, or they were able to bring more people into their mastermind. Or one of my clients, he makes about $300,000 a month. That's social proofing for sure. So I will weave in a story every now and again into my podcast where I say there's this business owner, and the only way that he makes money is through the events that he hosts. And he usually makes about almost $1 million, sometimes more than $1 million, and sometimes it's like 700,000, but almost $1 million per event. So he's really good at sales. He's got the back of the house all good to go, and he has an irresistible offer that he really can support people. And he does these events almost every month. And then he wanted to find out, because everybody told him he needed to have a podcast. And so Marco launches a podcast with our direction, with our help. We just give him all the pieces that we've helped other people with. And for him, because he charges so much money per person, he's able to monetize on top of the almost million-ish a month to an additional 300,000+ a month just through his podcast. So for him, his income is going up almost $4 million a year, because it's a little over 300 grand a month. It means each quarter is about $1 million more than he was making before. And there's 4 quarters in a year. That's about $4 million that Marco can attribute to his podcast. Not just his business and his events, but actually now through the podcast. Who wouldn't want to make an extra $4 million a year? Who wouldn't want to? When all you got to do is record a couple of episodes a week and let somebody else publish it. So I use a story like this as social proofing, as a way that you can know that it is possible for you, if you were making good money one way, to be able to make an additional solid amount of income on top of it. And hint, hint, it's by working with us. So this is a second way for me to build credibility with me, my coaching, and my company, the program that we do for other people, to show you that it is possible. Now, not everybody's going to make the same exact money as Marco. I don't. My podcast only makes $40,000 a month, and his makes $300,000 a month, almost 10 times, almost 10x. So it's going to be different per person. But I could point out multiple social proofings where I get a client, and within 6 months of working with us, they're able to easily make 5 figures, 10, 20, 30,000 a month. That's social proofing. So what are the 2 ways to build your credibility through social proofing. The first is to get ratings and written reviews. The second is to talk about people that you've worked with that have had success as well. I'm going to give you a couple other tips that will benefit you. On the first one, on the first thing, which is asking for ratings and reviews, a way to do that is to say these words, write it down. Hey, I'm calling you because I learned on a podcast that the social proofing really helps me a lot. So the reason that I'm calling you is to see if you could listen to an episode or two of my podcast and give me an honest written review on the show. Now, I'm going to give you a takeaway on the second part of the social proofing, which is talking about people that you worked with and their success. And it's to be really careful not to be the douchebag. What I mean by that is when I'm talking about Marco, I'm talking about what he's looking for, what he's struggling with, the only way that he's making money right now, what his podcast did for him. I will casually mention that we supported him. I will casually mention that. But Marco's the hero in this story, okay? Adam Adams is not the freaking hero. Grow Your Show is not the hero. We are just the guide. Luke Skywalker's the hero. Yoda is the guide. Yes, of course, Yoda did some cool shit. Yoda helped a guy to be able to conquer the world and get all this magical power using the Force, and he gets the girl. Yoda was involved in it, but we don't make Yoda the hero of the story. When we watch Star Wars, Yoda is not the hero. He's just the guide. When I want to talk about Marco or another client that is able to make some money through their podcast, is be able to have social proofing somehow, they need to be the hero. When you talk about somebody who's worked with you, you need to be careful to focus that story on them, the battles that they struggle with, the things that they have tried, and the accomplishment that they got at the end of the day. Your listener will automatically realize, your listener will just obviously know that you had something to do with it. But if you say, we're the best, Adam's the best because I made somebody $4 million, if I say it in that way, then my listener is going to say, what a douche, what an arrogant asshole right there, saying that he was the one who did all of this stuff. I didn't do it. Yoda didn't do the stuff for Luke. Yoda was just there for Luke. Yoda just knew a couple things. He had some wisdom, but Luke Skywalker is the hero of the story. So we go through the things that challenges Luke. We go through the things that helped Luke. Sure, you're involved, but you're not the hero. Luke is the hero. I was involved with Marco and some other clients that made money through the podcast. I'm not the hero. They did the freaking work. I just supported them. I just helped them. I just showed them the formula that they could use, that others have used. They used it. They did it. They succeeded. They're the hero. So what are the two ways to build credibility through social proofing? One is to get more people to rate and review your show. I taught you how to do that. The other one is to talk about your clients or others that have gone the path, and to make sure to be cautious, not to be the douche. They are the hero of the story. You're not the hero. You're just the guide. I've got another episode coming up. It's an episode where I've interviewed somebody, and I've got a few amazing people that I've interviewed lately. The next episode's one of those that I'm really excited about. If you got time, I'll see you there. This is serious. Don't go. Now that you've gotten whatever value that you feel that you got, the actionable takeaways, you need to implement the stuff that you learn. If you remember me talking about bird church once, and they learn how to fly, and then they walk home, I don't want you to walk home. I want you to fly home. So take the steps, take the actionable steps for your benefit so that you can become a better podcaster. That's the only thing that I ask of you. And I'll see you for more actionable tips on the very next episode.